Good morning,
Viraj.
everyone. So we had gone through various formats of myopia or refractive errors and how to screen your patients in the initial days, how to keep a pool of patients where you can chip them immediately once you really have a refractive setup at your disposal. So once you actually have a refractive setup, you need to screen patients. As Dr. Nikhil was saying, on a slit lamp, you might at times miss a patient of a PMCD or a pellucid marginal degeneration. But that is the reason that you need to have a very accurate topography. And this forms the most important pre-refractive or whatever refractive surgery workup that you are going to do. In addition to all other things, topography is the most important thing. In a brief, why we need to do all these things is refractive surgeries. It has come a long way, especially in last 2 decades. And as Dr. Praveen was saying, it's an extremely precise technology which makes a surgery to be highly predictable, safe, and successful. So broadly, corneal refractive procedures and intraocular or lenticular based. Corneal, you have in this era PRK or surface procedures, LASIK, femtolasic, and a SMILE. And in a intraocular could be phakic IOLs or clear lens extraction. Now, refractive surgery setup, broadly this is an era of Scheimpflug based imaging, because just based on a surface or a Placido disc topography, it's very difficult at these times. What was the scenario maybe 10 or 15 years back? Right now everyone is very sure that you need to screen the patients with a Scheimpflug based imaging. And on a Scheimpflug based imaging, the two major platforms that we have is a Pentacam or a Cirrus from a Cirrus, which has come up a big way in last maybe 4 or 5 years. Now what is a normal topography looks like? This is a normal topography. It gives you various maps. This is a sagittal curvature. This is a patient data. This is a, we feed in a patient's date of birth so that we always have a idea at what age we are firing a laser. It gives you a K1, K2. This is a SIMK 1 and 2. And then in addition, on the same map, it gives you a pachymetry maps. In case you are doing ICLs or something, you also need to know what your antechamber depth. So this is the way the topographic map looks like. This is a Pentacam image and this is a Scheimpflug image. In addition to this, there are other advantages of a Scheimpflug image. It roughly gives you a sort of a lens densitometry also, although not devised for the exactly for that purpose. Now instead of going through all the theoretical things, I would like to discuss few of the cases, how it looks like. This is a sagittal curvature front view, and you have a patient who has a K1, K2 of around 40, 43 and 40. So you have astigmatism of around 2 diopters, and this is his topographic picture. So anyone from the house, what it looks like, just looking at, if it had been a surface or a Placido based imaging, whether you are dealing with a keratoconus or it's a normal topography, and you can still go and fire a laser. See, like the basic Rabinowitz criteria, what it says is a figure of 8, or you should, the two principal meridians, it should be perpendicular. Here it is not. This is a one meridian and this is another meridian. Now it could be a sort of a corneal warpage or contact lens induced warpage, or it could be dry eyes, and that is the reason you should look for a posterior elevation. Now this is a elevation back or posterior elevation, and very important thing is anything posterior elevation more than 20 microns should be a should raise your indicators that you are dealing with some sort of an ectasia. And here you have an posterior elevation which is around 30 microns right in the center. So it could be a sort of an early form for keratoconus, and this sort of patients are not the ideal patients for any sort of excimer procedures or LASIK procedures. You might think of doing a phakic IOLs or something if the it is a stable, or you have done your C3R or something in future. Now coming to another case. Now again here you have an astigmatism of only 1.6 diopters. Your pachymetry is around 509 microns, and this is the sagittal curvature front view. So anyone, what it looks like? Here you have two principal meridians which are in a same line. So
Maybe a warpage again? Corneal warpage?
it could be a corneal warpage. It could be that I would say that it looks to be a fairly stable topography that way. And if you go on to a posterior elevation, again there is nowhere in the posterior elevation or in the central 5 mm or something corneal posterior elevation which is more than 20 microns. So it is just the patient has a high astigmatism, and still you can think that you can plan a refractive procedure for this patient. Now coming to the next case, again you can have a 4 maps in a single picture. Now again this is a patient who has a K1 K2 of around 42 and 44 and a stigmatism of around 1.2 diopters. This is a front sagittal curvature front view, and this is the back elevation that we always should look for in a case of a pentacam. It also shows a corneal thickness map or a pachymetry map. It has a central pachymetry of around 493 microns. So here again you have two principal meridians which are not very similar looking, but then if you go on to the posterior elevation, the posterior elevation doesn't suggest anything that you're dealing with any sort of an ectasia. So most likely it could be either dry eyes or contact lens induced warpage. In this sort of patients, you can always put him on some sort of a lubricants, and then again repeat topography after some time, you might have a better picture. So this is again a posterior elevation of the same patient in a big map that you are seeing, and if you take up a bigger circle or something, or you are imaging the posterior elevation in 7 mm, still you are not finding any sort of an ectatic changes. So this could be a patient for or a good patient for your excimer ablation. Now this is a frank keratoconus or anterior-keratoconus. You have a K1, K2 of 52 and 56. You have a island or something or a red spot. Although pachymetry looks to be a quite adequate 488 or seems to have a good pachymetry, but posterior elevation, as I said, it is obviously very high, 52 microns. So this could be a patient for a C3R, and then you can plan for some sort of an Intacs or a Phakikiles in case if you are planning for some sort of refractive procedure. Now this is one important map. What I am trying to show here is how you have changed your corneal profile. This is a preoperative map. You have a 44 and a 46 of a K1 K2 and an pachymetry of 562, and this is a postoperative map, how you have changed the corneal profile after your excimer, and this is a difference, that is a difference of A minus B. So how your what changes you have done. So what it shows is preoperatively 44 46 you have changed it to 36.9 and 37.4, and the amount of change that you have done is almost 157 microns you have done a treatment. So I think it's a fairly big amount of a myopia or a high myopia that you had ablated. So the carry home message is, it's an era of Scheimpflug based topographic imaging. Careful reading of topographic maps and posterior elevation is must before planning for any sort of refractive procedure. It helps to differentiate the surface irregularities from inherent ectasias, and when in doubt you need to repeat topography after stabilizing the ocular surface by any sort of treatment, just simple lubricants, treating his blepharitis, or asking him to stop his contact lenses for some time. Thank you. Anything broadly in a topography or a...
So Rohit, my question will be, what will be the one thing which you will be, as soon as you see the map, one thing you will be seeing to tell that this patient is okay and this patient is not okay? Any one thing as soon as you see the map, the color codings or something?
See, like you are seeing a red map or a island or something or a hotspot, that should raise a suspicion.
Yeah.
Now whether it is really a ectasia or a keratoconus, you should obviously look, assess, go back and look at your slit lamp picture, go back and look at your subjective refraction, and then look for, very important thing is, I would say, look for a posterior elevation.
Posterior float, yeah, exactly.
So posterior elevation, it can't be changed as such, or there is a very little bias that could be seen.
Yeah.
So that should very important thing that you should look for.
And the tools which we have now, like the OBSCAN and Pentacam, so can screening with the OBSCAN is possible, and is it better than Pentacam, or you feel that the both of them are same in?
No, there is definitely, I would say that Pentacam has an upper hand as compared to the OBSCAN.
OBSCAN, yeah.
The very important thing is, in a OBSCAN, the center point, it doesn't remain the stationary. In a Pentacam, it has a 3 cameras. So anywhere you are shifting the cameras or little bit patient movement or something, so that catches any sort of ectasia in a better way. So no doubt cost remains a factor, but then in a case of refractive procedures, you can't, as we said, these are all young patients who are going to have a look through same for next 60 years or 80 years. So chances of our margin of error should be as low as possible.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, we are